Hey there. We are playing a Dran Alchemist in this one because I wanted an excuse to use Voltaic Rondure and Witchfire. They both got buffed in that last update, and I mean, I always thought they were pretty decent, but they're just better now. Obviously, they just got buffs, no nerfs. They're fantastic, and Rondure in particular, especially when you crank in some amplitude, and then I have magnifying glass on. It's just an absolute like room clearing, chamber clearing monster. Like the radius on that thing is just diabolical, man. And I mean, look at it go. Just like there's not a lot of dudes right there, but I mean, it lasts forever. It's gonna hit that dude, I'm sure. Yeah, see, there they go. Like, how long does it last right now? 29 seconds. Yeah, 29 seconds. Just floating along, causing devastation. Anytime I go into a room, I just lob it out there and let it clear things up for me. And then if I really feel like, oh no, I've got a lot of dudes rushing at me, I've got Witchfire to throw down and completely lock down an avenue as well. And that's something that this loadout is like really good at. If you know where some enemies are coming from, like you can just absolutely block down a zone. Like they can't get to you, basically. Like they have to be elites or something to like actually make it through the gauntlet of lightning and fire. Now, you know, kind of some downsides with this setup is like if the guys do get on top of you and they're actually pressuring you, it can be a little dicey at that point. Now you can have your mods kind of set up so that like they're in your space to protect you and keep you safe like that, but it can be hard at times to like truly set that up and make sure it's good, especially if Rondure goes bouncing off into some crazy direction. Then, you know, you can have some harder times doing it. But if you actually have it set up right, then there's not much they can do. And with some slow into a Witchfire, they're gonna get just absolutely messed up, and we just lob it back out there. Like the reality rune just completely makes us safe too. Like they're all slow trying to get in here while constantly getting electrocuted. And I mean, just follow it up with an extra little shot. The Witchfire lasts so much longer now too. Like it's just solid. It's fun. It's, you know, on some of the bosses it's better, on some of them it's worse. The Witchfire is, you know, not going to work on anything that flies, so you got to be careful about that. And another like downside with Witchfire specifically with this update is just how much damage it does. Like it's great that it does so much damage because it will absolutely wipe dudes out, but it does a lot of damage to you. So like I have max kinship right now. Look how much damage it's doing to ourselves. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of damage for it to be doing to us when we have kinship maxed. It's pretty scary. It's instant death if you don't actually have the kinship trait maxed. So you'd have to be very careful with it. But our whole setup here, obviously I've focused in around them. It's kind of a mod build, but we are kind of like themed around being a Dran Alchemist. So everything I've chosen is Dran themed. It's everything that they have and used. I think I avoided any kind of like Fae type choices, but you know, things could be a little intermingled because their worlds are intertwined now. So, you know, you could totally mix in some things. And because I'm so themed with it, you could easily like make this build like way more optimized and more efficient. Like I have the alumni ring on, which increases my elemental damage, and congratulations, 95% of the damage I do is elemental, so that's a really good pick for us. However, you could just as easily go with the burden of the destroyer, and that will also do just the same thing, you know? Like there's options, right? And you can easily upgrade things, open up the full catalog of rings and stuff that you've got going on to make it even better, right? And I mean, like we just keep sending it in there, and then like it just keeps shredding dudes for us. It's hitting her way up there. Oh no. Maybe we'll drop a Witchfire on her if she ever comes down. She seems really confused. All right. Now, the Alchemist is interesting. I really like the Alchemist, actually. But it's kind of weird and sort of tough to use at times because of its prime perk, where you can carry or use multiple concoctions. It's a really fun one. I do really like it. but it requires items, right? Like that's the thing it needs is items. And so if you don't have bunches of concoctions or scraps to keep getting the concoctions, then it's a little bit harder to constantly upkeep it. And then it's really annoying, like if for some reason you switch your archetypes, then the concoctions go away because you don't have that new max anymore, and so then you got to reapply a bunch of them, and that's pretty obnoxious. And the other downside-y perk thing to the Alchemist is its perk, right? It's trait, sorry. The trait where you can, your consumables last longer. A very fun one to use, right? Like right now, I have on the Fairy Needle, which is helping us to generate more mod power a second, and it lasts for like 2 minutes. So you can get a lot of bang for your buck. So even though you might have to spend scrap on getting these consumables, having them actually last a long time is really helpful. We drop you, boom, and then we drop you. And actually, too, because I'm a Dran guy, I'm also been using the tar bombs as well. It's pretty fun. Sometimes I'll try and pull out the pipe bomb as well. Yeah, but because you have to use the consumables to really get any value out of it, it can be a little scrap heavy. Like, that part can be a little obnoxious, right? But something I do like about the Alchemist Prime perk, where you can have multiple concoctions active, is how you can look at that. And concoctions, oftentimes you can look at them as being traits. Like the Mudtooth tonic that's giving you max HP, that's vigor. The Shadeberry wine or whatever it's called that gives you mod power generation, that's points in spirit, right? So you can look at it in a few different ways, where you can say, all right, because I'm using this concoction, I don't need to put as many points into said trait, which then frees up trait points for you to upgrade something else. And so then you can be having a lot more variety in the traits that you pick, or something along those lines. Or you just double down on it, right? Like you could just full max out spirit and then add in the Shadeberry thing, so that you're getting a full, like, I forget how much spirit gives you maxed out, 20% plus another 10% there. So that's a 30% increase to your mod power generation. And then, just go from there. Same thing with like the vigor concoction and maxed out vigor. Now I've just got a ton of health. Right now I'm sitting at 165. So you can end up stacking quite a lot of bonuses if that's how you want to do it, or spread yourself out and get a large variety of them as well. It just depends on like what you're trying to do, I've got kind of a blend where I didn't max out spirit because I have the Shadeberry thing, but then I also maxed out insight because I feel like the Dran people, they kind of have this like sort of eldritchy feel to them, right? With like with the Oracle and stuff, which I need to use the Oracle Eye. And just like some of their logs and stuff was like the Sea Witch and the weird creature things that live in the ocean. They've got stuff with the lighthouse and stuff. Like there's some really interesting things, right? And so I thought insight felt pretty fitting, right? We need to use the All-Seeing Eye. We're going to put that on our quick slot, actually, because that's just a fun little buff for us to use. And it's a buff. 15% increase to our maximum stamina. Nice. So, I've got that going on for extra mod power generation with some of the other mutators and stuff on our weapons. We're pretty solid on charging up our mods. Even though Archon isn't our primary archetype to give us that passive mod power generation, we've got a lot of other things going on to do it for us. But Witchfire, it does a lot of damage. So when that dude, like, look how much it does, dude. It's bananas. It does a lot of damage. I know it's been hard to see before this because I've just been sticking with the Voltaic Rondure because it's so easy to use that one. Like, you just throw it out there and it just starts clearing rooms for you. Where the Witchfire, you really have to like choose where to put it down because it's only going to hit that line, and so you need to make sure like where the enemies are going to be. This could be scary. Stone Skin and the Reality Rune to just kind of slow them down. Roll around all that. Whoop. Aha. We also have the Quilted Hardon. This negates all stamina consumption and then heals you when you dodge. It's a lot of fun. It can be a little jank because, or it can be a little frustrating, not necessarily jank, because you don't have an instant heal available unless you want to use a consumable like the dried fruit to quick heal 5% of your health. But it allows you to do some fun things like just spamming charge attacks, just spamming rolling and healing when you roll. Plus it lasts for 20 seconds. So you can like, you know, pre-game a little bit, say, all right, I'm probably going to need one up here in a second, and then just use it like that. And it'll work out pretty nicely for you. One of the other things you probably noticed when I was using it was a melee attack. I've got the Bone Chopper. Bone Chopper it's a Dran weapon. You know, Sparkfire is a Dran weapon. The double barrel, congratulations, it's a Dran weapon because you get it from their freaking lockbox. Like, it's all Dran. But the Bone Chopper has the double swing on his charged attacks. And I threw in Shocker for the Mutator because Shocker feels like a Mutator device thing that the Dran would have come up with. And it with the 2 charge attacks, you're constantly triggering the Shocker effect. And if you happen to pop the Quilted Heart beforehand, you're going to have infinite stamina so that you don't have to worry about whether or not you're running out of stamina doing that. And you can do some things with the Stone Mist to tank hits or Frenzied Dust to be able to, you know, just have the faster actions with it, things like that. We're going to Reality Rune you, and we're actually going to Stone Mist it. Between the Stone Mist and Reality Rune, 74% damage reduction. That's also with an armor concoction on full, what's it called, Fortify. Like, we end up with a lot of damage reduction when we stack inside of our different defensive bonuses. Nice. Very nice. Now, I don't think Witchfire stacks with itself. Like, I don't think you can have 2 down and it'll do twice the damage, but I could be wrong. Because that's a lot of damage, actually. Maybe it is stacking. The burn effect, the burn damage won't stack, but maybe the actual burning damage does. I guess I should probably actually look at the numbers in the shooting range to see if the DPS, like, doubles or not. Though, one thing to note, too, about Witchfire, it didn't look like it was affected by amplitude and therefore not the magnifying glass, which is a bit of a bummer, but like honestly the range on it just seems so large anyways. Like, I don't feel like it really needs it. Like, the length of it is huge. Like, you're good to go. 10% increase in mod generation. Oh no, a bunch of guys in the street. You just send the Rondure out and it just clears the whole street of anybody who's in front of you.
No outsiders here.
Oh, that happens too. Sometimes the like Rondure or the Witchfire like lands funny and ricochets, and then it lands in some bizarre way and can bounce back and hit you. That is super frustrating. So, oh, gonna be a bunch of guys. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Rondure. Prism enhancements are available. Very nice. I've got a whole mod thing set up because that's basically what we're doing here is mod stuff. Alchemist mod things. But the Dran don't do magic, man. It's all sciences, visions, and stuff. Ooh, the Maleficent Glimmer. Catch him with that. It's got a detonator. That could be kind of scary, actually. Ooh, why did that one seem weird? We can use some of our consumables, because we should. I actually don't really feel like I need the Fairy Needle. I guess if I took points out of Insight, I could maybe run it a little bit more. Let's just do double fire there. Do another fire. Yeah, there it is. You could see where like having the guy on top of us creating pressure makes it a little more tricky to actually use some of the mods effectively, specifically Witchfire. And Rondure, you know, you got to catch it right with the angles. In your big open spaces, Rondure can be a little, at least not as effective, because like in Narud, if it flies up into the sky, like it's not hitting anything. Now, granted, the radius on it is so ginormous now that you could kind of do it anyways. Hey, no, I don't like that. But when you get into like a small dungeon, like a Narud dungeon with like tight little hallways and stuff, like you can just bounce it down there and there is nothing those guys are going to be able to do about it. Do you hear that sound? Hold on, let me stop the music. Oh, it's because my mod was active. Okay. I've never heard that sound before. Because it's the same as like you hear it in Tiller's Rest, where you get possessed by the weird fairy spirit creature thing, and for a second I thought there was like some new hidden secret deal where, oh my gosh, there's a wispy thing somewhere around here and you can go get it, blah 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 blah. All right, we'll fight the Huntress now. I like fighting the Huntress. She's pretty fun. It is a shame that she's not in the boss rush. I think it'd be cool, but I know part of it's probably because she's not one of the specific, like, a dungeon boss. Even though this whole, like, Brockwith Quarter type thing kind of is her dungeon, like, I don't know. I think it would make it pretty interesting, right? Let's use our consumables now. 1, 2, and then we'll... Actually, I'll put Rondure right here to ricochet it backwards, because it's going to totally be able to hit her from there. Yeah. Set up 1. Set up 2. Vicious and Hardy. Oop. Let's use our relic as well, actually. That'll give us a potential damage increase or something, too. Drop a stone skin, drop one of these, and maybe we can just do some charge attacks like this, and just do charge spark or shocker effects going on. It's kind of working for us. Alright, move back. Boom. Boom. Lightning. Charge attack. Charge attack. We're getting low on stamina because the thing ended. Now we can charge you up. Let's use another one. Just have the stamina and extra healing. Whoop. Oops, messed that up. That's okay. I noticed, like, I was messing around with this idea the other day, and I noticed once I started rolling this, I was doing some boss rush, and every single boss had freaking elemental resist because, you know, of course, why wouldn't they? Owie. Drop him now. Let's eat some more root, blood root, right? Oh no. Okay. Can't actually see what's happening. I hope we're okay. Hey, yeah. That's a bad thing too, obviously. You could see it there. There was a lot of screen clutter going on. Like, I couldn't actively see what move she was doing, so that could be a little sketchy at times, right? All right, here's a loadout. I've waited long enough to do that. We've got ourselves the Alchemist. We got ourselves the Archon. But yeah, I've talked about them enough, right? All of our stuff is coming from, you know, mod damage, basically. It's elemental, but it's mod. So that's why I ended up going with Archon. Now, you might be wondering, if I did the big Dran theme, why didn't I run the Ritualist? Which I'm pretty sure that could work, but the... it didn't have the right vibe that I was going for. The Ritualist has a very different feel to it, right? It's very culty, dark, gritty, where the Alchemist, to me, feels more like, if you want to do it this way, it was like the full academics and stuff like that, right? It feels more academic, right? A seer, a scholar kind of thing going on, you know? I do have on the magnifying glass, just making the AoE size and everything just much larger, specifically for our skills, and then the Voltaic Rondure. Now, sometimes if I'm in, like, specifically just like a boss fight, I'll put on the shock device, and that'll just make the overload on and shock damage of Rondure just so much larger. There's a bunch of other Dran Alchemist or Dran amulets that you could kind of go with, but, you know, a lot of them I wasn't super vibing with. I don't know. Alumni Ring, just 10% increase to our elemental damage, but, you know, again, if you wanted, you could just absolutely run with a Burden of the Destroyer or some other type of damage increase that's going to be pretty solid for you. Ring of Grace, this ring I've been swapping around a bunch, right? But it's a Dran ring, you take damage, you regenerate health. Sometimes I have Ring of the Castaway on, just making my consumables last even longer. Sometimes I'm running Timekeeper's Jewel to just make the status effects last longer. Wood Ring for more stagger. Like, it kind of just depends on how I'm feeling. I was running Lighthouse Keeper's Ring for a bit because I just like the idea of it. But the thing I didn't like about it was the fact that it requires multiple entities to have status effects on them. So it's not like you stack a bunch of status effects on a single guy and get a bunch of mod power. You have to have a lot of guys to stack up a lot of mod power generation. So it's not super amazing on boss fights most of the time. It's only good in, like, the situations where there's a horde of guys, you know. Stone of Malevolence is also actually just pretty fantastic for this, but it's more of a Fey ring. Dran Scavenger Ring. It's a Dran ring, Dragon Scavenger. You get it from Hardcore. It's a very solid ring. Pick up items. We're picking up items all the time. We get health. We get increased damage. It's just solid. And then the Singed ring, increase all our damage to burning enemies. Most of the time we're applying burning pretty regularly, especially if we're actually shooting them with a Witchfire or just a Sparkfire shotgun in general, or if I throw out the tar pot, you know. Speaking of going into the guns, right, Sparkfire shotgun is a Dran shotgun. It does elemental damage. Everything about it feeds into what we want. It's got Witchfire, it's got failsafe, increasing the damage and a chance not to consume the mod. We've got the Bone Chopper with Shocker in there, and then we've got the double barrel with Voltaic Rondure and Feedback, which just charges it up so quickly, so easily on its own. It's just nice. Trait-wise, we've got Triage maxed out, Fortify maxed out, Kinship maxed out, Vigor maxed out, Amplitude maxed out, Siphoner maxed out, Glutton maxed out, Insight maxed out, and then a couple points in Spirit putting it at 5, a couple points in Expertise putting it at 5 as well. Amplitude just really takes the Rondure up to the next level, but since it doesn't actively affect the Witchfire, you can maybe make an argument for it to not have it. The radius is already pretty good on its own, you know, and I mean, if you're going to be running Witchfire, you need to take Kinship. Just a full set of Academics armor. We've got the Quilted Heart on there, which is always kind of fun. Fragment-wise, we've got health bonus, mod damage, and mod power generation. If I could, I would choose a fragment that would do like elemental damage, but they seem to have gotten rid of it, I guess because they have a new one that does the status effect damage. So like most of your statuses are elemental, but I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, we've got our prism. It's all mod stuff. We do have a 15% increase to our mod duration, as well as some crit chance and damage stuff. But the reason I bring up the mod duration is like the Witchfire lasts for 14.5 seconds right now. That's because of a 45% increase here between this and our prism. So normally that's 10 seconds. 10 seconds is still a pretty solid amount of time for Witchfire. And then it's kind of the same thing with this thing. It's supposed to be 20 seconds. 20 seconds is still a pretty long time for the Rondure, right? And with the right overall setup with some mod power generation and stuff, you could be sending out Rondure, right? Like you could be having a lot going on. Oh no, a big room with a whole bunch of fairies flying around. What am I going to do? Pow. Look at it go. It's hitting things way over there. Look at it. It's just absolute room clearing monstrosity. Oh no, another one. Yeah, I was gonna pull out some other bosses. I was gonna fight Faerun or something too, but the video is going on long enough. You get the idea. It works. I've fought Faerun with it. I fought the Ravager. I've done several boss rushes with it. Right? You're gonna be pretty solid. You know, it's a fun setup. Rondure and Witchfire are better. You can theme things around with like the Dran things and fairy things pretty easily. Make it actually surprisingly effective, even though you've limited yourself to one world's items. So yeah, appreciate you guys checking it out. Always do, you know. Hope you guys enjoy it, mess around with it or something like that. And till the next one, y'all, take care.